This is the nervous part. This is the nervous part. Does this work? Are people going to come? We wait. Cross our fingers. I hope people come. Because we don't know. We never know. All right, we have someone in the chat. We've made it. Crossed our fingers and we have made it. So people are in the chat. It's working. That's half the battle. In the first 1 minute of doing this, because there's like a 1 minute delay, the first 1 minute is the most painful minute. It is a very precarious position because you don't know who sees you and you don't know who you could see. So I appreciate everyone for being here. Everybody jumping in, get your questions in early to make sure we don't miss out on you. I'll be here for an hour. Like I said last time, I don't need anything from you guys. I don't need nothing. I just need your attention and then a commitment to be actionable on what we talk about. So make sure, get your questions in early so that way we don't miss them. The first question we got came from the community section, and somebody asked, did I ever see Travis Kelce from the Kansas City Chiefs, or better known as Taylor Swift's boyfriend? Did I ever see him wear the sweater that I sold? And the answer is no. I haven't been looking, but if anyone ever sees him wearing this sweater, this is not my sweater, but I sold him this sweater for $1,200. And this is a very rare sweater, very sought after. So he did buy this sweater for me probably 6 to 8 months ago, but I have not seen him wear it yet. So if anyone ever sees him wear it, maybe he'll wear it to the Super Bowl, shoot me a shout out, and let me know if he is in a picture of it. So speaking of the Super Bowl, who do you guys got? You got the 49ers or you got the Chiefs? I'm going Chiefs. Who do you guys pick? First question, the traveling picker, Pat D's. How come you use Zoom and not StreamYard? Very easy. I am a streaming noob. I know nothing about what we're doing. I turn it on, hope it works. It's not about the vehicle. We just got to receive the message. That's all. Oh, we got Isaiah in the chat. A lot of people watched Isaiah's podcast that we did last week. I love talking to Isaiah. Isaiah actually started his own channel, Isaiah, ISAIAH _TMN. And he does these really cool like Instagram lives where he just turns on the camera and just talks. And the thoughts that come out of his mind and what he thinks about trying to grow his business, trying to do the right thing, I find it truly fascinating. So I said, why don't you put these out on YouTube? You know, maybe you could reach a larger audience and, you know, have a larger impact. Because I know he does want to make an impact while he's here. So he just started his channel. Subscribe to him, Isaiah, ISAIAH _TMN. And he was on the last podcast. So if you haven't listened to him, definitely listen to that podcast. We got the new podcast coming out Friday. That's with James Bold Finds. Bold Finds is a guy from the UK. He sells on eBay. He's doing great. He just changed his business model of more, maybe a little bit less listing, but higher average sale price, higher profit. And he's up 44% this month over last month. So he's doing a tremendous job. So that podcast is going to come out Friday. So if you want to learn about, you know, how to raise your ASP, how to source better items, kind of the thought process of making that switch, definitely tune over to his channel and definitely watch that podcast that's coming out on Friday. And like the differences between sourcing in the United States and sourcing in the UK, totally fascinated, totally mind blowing. So that's another question for you guys. Where is the best place to source? A lot of people watch the videos and they say, oh, I wish I lived in Florida. I wish I had flea markets like that. But if you guys notice, every single flea market that I go to, I'm going 3, 4, 5 hours away from my house. So like I am traveling and, you know, sometimes you have to change your location to put yourself in a different position and find different types of items. So where is the best place to source? What is your guys' opinion? Is it Florida? Is Florida the ultimate honey hole? I know on YouTube, I see a lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff come out of Texas. So I think Texas is probably a pretty good place too, but I'll find out. I'll go around the country and I will give All the states are rating 1 through 50, best to worst. Scott Wagner says, do you require immediate payment on listings? So on buy it now, I do require immediate payment. On best offer, I don't. So the reason why I don't on best offer is because eBay has been rolling out, it's got to be close to a year now, where if a buyer sends an offer um, and you accept, they will be charged immediately. And sounds great, great in theory. However, it is a double-edged sword because it prevents them from doing any sort of multi-orders because they're going to get whacked every single time with an additional new shipping charge. So instead of them being able to send 5 offers, me accepting 5 offers, going in and sending an invoice, um, they're going to have to pay 5 different shippings. They're going to be confused, maybe even put off about continuing shopping because they keep getting whacked with more and more and more additional shipping charges for no reason. So if you want to turn that off, you need to go to the top left-hand corner of your eBay. And when you hover over the top left-hand corner, it's going to say, hi, your name. You want to click account settings. Once you go on that screen, you want to pick buyer settings. When you get on that screen, or seller settings, seller preferences, you want to click seller preferences. When you get on that screen, you want to click on buyer preferences. And when you click the top one, you scroll all the way to the bottom. And then from there, it will give you the option to turn off immediate payment. So let me see if we can get over to that screen. So here we are. We're on the second screen here. And if you want to turn off immediate payment, we're on the second screen. You want to go seller preferences. And then from here, you want to go buyer preferences. And then from here, you want to turn off require buyers to provide a payment method before they make an offer. And this will turn off the automatic payment on best offer. So for buy it now, I do have automatic payment for best offer. Sorry, for buy it now, I do have automatic payment. For best offer, I do not have automatic payment. Now eBay is even rolling out a new way of doing it where if a buyer sends you an offer, you accept, the item still stays live on eBay and somebody else can make an offer or somebody else can buy the item. So now it's a buyer can send you an offer until they pay, the item is still live. So someone else can come in and swoop up and get that item if they don't pay fast enough. So they're kind of rolling out a couple different things. Maybe they're testing what is the best way. So if you have sold an item and you don't see it, or you still see it active on your eBay, it's because this new policy is rolling out where a buyer can send you an offer, you accept, and until they pay, that item is still live. So just something to be careful about. Laura says, what is the best and easiest way to calculate your gas mileage? So you can get a notebook, write it down, starting and stopping. You can get an app called, I think, Mile IQ. There may be charges associated with it. But what the IRS wants to see is they want to see that you have a method for tracking what you're doing. So whether it's a notebook in the car, whether you're taking a photo, whether you are logging it, or using an app, they just want to see kind of a method behind what you're doing. And for the people that do track their mileage, for me, I'm old fashioned. I use a notebook. Do you guys use an app? How do you guys best track your mileage? But for me, I just use a notebook. Tino says, if you put your eBay store on vacation mode, how long does it take for the algorithm to pick up after you take it off? It's usually about 5 to 7 days to get back cooking. The other option is to extend your handling time and not just totally go on vacation mode, but it depends on the length that you are going to be gone. But it usually takes about 5 to 7 days for kind of, in my experience, from what I have seen of others, it usually takes about 5 to 7 days to get back rocking and rolling. All right. Thank you very much. Catching up in the chat. Very good. So Wally G says, does it matter when you join the group beginning of the month or 2 weeks? It doesn't matter. So most Patreons are set up to do what's called the double whack. So if you join today on the 31st, you would be charged again on the 1st. I eliminated that option. I don't think that's right. I don't think it's fair. So for me, you can join anytime, and that will be your anniversary date when it gets charged. There's no double whack for me. Maniacal says, as you're new to YouTube, what advice would you give a reseller starting his first YouTube channel? I think just go for it first and foremost. Just go for it. And I think YouTube is a lot like eBay. If you list an item on eBay that people want, the item will sell. If you make YouTube videos that people want to watch, people will watch them. But if you make YouTube videos that people don't want to watch, people will not watch them. And I think that when you start a video, it goes out to your subscribers. If it converts heavily on the subscribers, it goes kind of to the second wave of people that are adjacent or semi-interested in what the video is talking about. Based on what you talk about, YouTube knows what the video is about based on title, based on keywords, based on all the information, all the data that you put into the video. So you put out a video, if it does great with your circle of subscribers, maybe I've built a community or a following on YouTube around reselling and eBay. Great. If the video does fantastic in that ring of subscribers, maybe it goes out to people who go to garage sales, go to flea markets, maybe resell on other platforms, maybe Depop sellers, maybe Amazon sellers, maybe people who want to make money online. So like the farther out it continues to gain traction, it goes out to another kind of semi-related niche or kind of adjacent niche. And that's how those videos really go viral, is they start out here and then they just keep growing based on adjacent people clicking on them, watching them, interacting, liking, subscribing, dropping a comment, all of that stuff. So I guess the one piece of advice is just make videos that people want to watch. Just ask yourself, like, do people want to watch this? And if it's yes, the market will decide yes or no. Very good. Thank you. Sicko sent a $1.99 super chat. I appreciate it. It is not necessary, not needed, but I do appreciate it. But not necessary, not needed, but I do appreciate it. I'm just here to help, here to answer some questions, spend some time, hang out. All good. All right, very good. Catching up in the chat. All right, Andrew said, so you need to turn off immediate payment for any item for someone to combine shipping. So you can set up multi-order discount, but that's a different question. If someone clicks or if someone sends you an offer, your item goes to awaiting payment. If you have deselected the option that I showed you, which is require a payment method before sending offers, if you turn off that option, they can send you an offer and they will not be prompted to pay until either you send an invoice or eBay sends their payment reminders or their invoices. So the buyer, since they are not prompted to enter their credit card or enter their payment information, all those items go into the awaiting payment screen like they used to do as normal. And they can stack up 5, 6, 7. They can message and say, hey, I'm done shopping. Can you send me a reduced price invoice? And from there, you can say no problem. But if you have the immediate payment turned on for best offers, it's not all the time because this is rolling out to the users, but more often than not, as this rolls out further, they're going to send an offer and they're going to be prompted to pay immediately the same way with a buy it now auction. So if I was a buyer and I wanted to buy 5 things from you and I got paid and I had to pay you immediately, I would think twice before buying another item because I don't want to pay shipping 5 times. Or I don't want to pay shipping 5 times and then send you a message and try to get a partial refund for shipping. I would rather stack up my buys, contact you, hey, I'm finished, or just stop sending offers and then wait for the buyer to send me an invoice. So for me, as part of my wake up routine, I wake up and then I wake up the eBay store. I respond to all the offers and messages that came in overnight, and then I just follow the line straight down on Seller Hub. I respond to all messages, respond to all offers, respond to any kind of returns that need attention, whether they need a label, whether they need a refund. I respond to all cancellations. I go to the resolution center, which is a very, very important place to go because sometimes those credit card chargebacks for people who don't recognize a particular transaction and just open up a credit card chargeback where you are prompted to put in the shipping. And if the shipping does show that the item was received, you are covered every single time on that credit card chargeback. But sometimes those emails kind of get lost or they go to spam and we don't see them. And if we don't see them, we can lose that credit card chargeback. And when we lose any credit card chargeback, we not only lose the chargeback, lose the item, but we are assessed a $20 fee for losing a credit card chargeback. So as a best practice for me, as part of my workflow, um, after returns, after cancellations, I go to the resolution center just to see if there's any item didn't arrive cases or any credit card chargebacks. After that, then I go over to send invoice, and every single morning I send invoices for combined shipping or payment reminders. And I do that every single day. And then after that, go in, start a coupon, go in, send my newsletters, go in, send my buyer groups. I do all of my promotions, and then I'm ready to rock and roll for the day. But that is the workflow every single day to wake up the store. All right. Michelle said she just made $150 off a free box on the curb. That's the way to do it right there. That's the scrap route. That is the only way to do it. Should we go ahead and remove from other platforms? Will you get a ding if you sell it somewhere else before they pay? Don't want to test that out. Okay, so if you are cross-posting and you sell an item on another website, you sell an item on eBay. If you cancel the item on eBay because you already sold it on Poshmark, you have to cancel selecting the reason out of stock. If you cancel based on the reason out of stock, you will be assessed a defect. And when you go to your seller metrics page, it has it all lined out there for you. And one of the metrics that they do cancel is those transaction defects for being out of stock. So if you have sold an item on a platform, we need to have some sort of process in place where we are removing that item from the other platform. So we sell an item here, we remove it everywhere else. We sell it here, we remove it everywhere else. Some platforms are more lenient towards cancellations. eBay, however, is not. And you can go in there and you can try to lie and say, buyer asked you cancel. eBay is not dumb either, because they don't see any messages between you and the buyer. And now eBay has started assessing you an out of stock defect if they find out, or if they feel, or if they know that that was truly not a buyer asked to cancellation. Because how can the buyer ask to cancel and they never sent you a message? They never sent you any sort of communication. So right there, it's very easy for eBay to know that that was a misuse of the cancellation policy. So it is more risky to cross post than it is not to cross post when we are concerning double selling items. If we don't cross post, that is not a concern. So if you sell an item, you have to remove it. You have to take it down. There may be softwares out there that could do it for you. I'm not sure. I have zero experience in cross posting. But if you do double sell it and you do have to cancel on eBay due to being out of stock, you will be assessed a defect. And the out of stock defect is one of the harshest defects that eBay has right now. It's more heavily weighted than not shipping an item on time, more heavily weighted than not getting your item scanned on time. It is way more heavily weighted as had to cancel for being out of stock. Now, is this eBay's way for kind of wagging their finger at cross posting? We don't know, but it is one of the most heavily weighted defects on eBay. Very good. Steve says, if you buy high sell-through rare items and price at market or below, can you run 0% promotions and 0% promoted listings? Absolutely, you can. So promoted listings are strategies or tools to sell items that are not selling fast enough for what you want it to sell for. So if you have an item that has a tremendous sell-through, if you have an item that is highly desirable, highly collectible, technically speaking, you do not need to do promoted listings. If you have an item that does not have a lot of competition on eBay, technically speaking, you do not need promoted listings. You do not need to run a sale. You do not need to run a coupon. You don't need to do any of that. So if you had an iPhone, I don't know what the new iPhone 15 or the new iPhone model is. Is it 15? Put it in the chat. I have no idea. It might be a 15, might be a 16, might be a 25. I don't know. If you have an iPhone 15, if that's the newest model, and you price that at market or a couple dollars below, that item is going to sell just based on, like you said, highly sought after and fast sell through. So you don't need to run any promotions on that item whatsoever. You need to run 0 promotions on an item that everybody wants. And if you are running a promotion, again, technically speaking, you are voluntarily taking a pay cut when maybe you don't have to. The tricky part comes where as our store grows, we have to kind of change from a case by case assessment to more of a blanket, this is my business policy as a business. So like if you are listing a handful of items today a day, or if you have a smaller store, you can do kind of this case by case thing. Hey, I looked at the sell through, I assessed, the collectability, I assessed the rarity of the item. I feel this item doesn't need promoted listings. Great, no problem. As your store grows, if you're listing 20, 30, 50, 100 a day, we can't be going through the listings every single day and deciding what needs promoted listings, what doesn't. You can, but eventually you run out of time in the day. So once your store grows bigger, if you choose to do that, once you increase your listings, if you choose to do that, you have to start doing kind of blanket policies. So at the peak of my business, when I had 50,000 items and I was listing 250 and selling 250, the blanket policy was everything got promoted immediately as I listed. That was my business policy because I can't be onesie twosies and choosing a certain percentage out of 250 that I'm not going to promote. So it was just a blanket policy because if I was doing ones and twos out of 50,000 items, it, I would never be able to do anything else inside of my day. So while you're small and it is more controllable, great tactic, but eventually your business will mature out of things like that, where it is onesie twosies, or where it is, if it's this, we do that. If it's that, we do this. And you grow into a business where it's this or this, and that's it. Andrew says, what is your opinion on what percent you should charge for taking items for consignment? The most you can charge. There is no set in stone percentage. However, just know getting into consignment, there are several complexities. So how many people have talked to relatives and friends and associates about selling on eBay? And they all think it's easy. They think eBay is so easy. You list an item, it magically sells, boom. Unfortunately, we know that that is not the way that works. So there is some communication that needs to be established before you take on any sort of consignment client. And you need to explain, hey, eBay, sometimes things take 30 days to sell, 90 days to sell, 6 months to sell, a whole year to sell. That is how eBay works. So if you truly and really want to cover yourself, if you are doing consignment, you need to have a contract and you need to say, if this item doesn't sell by X date, it either gets returned or I get to keep it or I donate it. We need to have something clear cut because items do not sell immediately. You also need to have established when you are going to pay out the cosign E. And some people say, hey, I pay out every week. I pay out every 2 weeks. I pay out every month. That's all fine. That's all dandy. But if you pay out every week, what do you do when the item gets returned? If you pay out every 2 weeks, what do you do when you have 30-day returns and they can return the item anytime in 30 days? What do you do when they have 60-day returns and they can return the item in 60 days? Okay, no problem. I have 60-day returns. I'm going to have in my contract stipulation that I pay out 60 days after payment was received. Great, that's great. But they can also do a credit card chargeback 180 days after they purchase the item. 180 days is 6 months. A buyer on eBay can open a credit card chargeback 6 months after they purchase the item. So do you want to take the gamble on this $700 item that you've consigned and you've made 10%, you've made 15%, you've made 20%? And then 5.5 months later, someone opens a credit card chargeback. So I'm not trying to discourage anybody from consignment. I'm just telling you what the possibilities are. And we all have to run our business how we see fit, and we all have to make our own decisions. So there are complexities with consignment. You're dealing with another customer, you are working for them. They have their own thoughts, they have their own opinions, how you should be doing stuff. For me personally, it has always been better for me to purchase the item outright, and then I can do whatever I want to do with it. If I want to list it today for this price, I could do that. If I don't list this thing for 5 years, I could do that too. It is my item. I can do what I want. I don't have to worry about a refund. I don't have to worry about a chargeback. I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. So for me personally, it has always been best to outright buy the item. But I have seen people that have run beautiful consignment businesses. Just know that there's extra layers and extra complexities in that. And that's fine. Everything works. We just have to figure out how to make it work. So if you are doing consignment, you have a contract. This is what I do. This is when you get paid. This is what happens if this item doesn't sell. This is what happens in the event of a refund. And you just have it in black and white and cover yourself. No problem. Okay, very good. Good question so far, guys. Thank you. Um, Mahad says, just getting started right now and focusing on iPhone reselling on eBay at the moment. Any advice? Um, yeah, so first and foremost, you want to make sure that you have a very clear understanding of IMEI number and ESN. So IMEI and ESN are kind of like the social security number for a phone. And if it gets lost or reported stolen, the buyer can call the service provider and they can turn off that phone, rendering it a bad IMEI or a bad ESN. And then the item is essentially bricked. If you are also selling iPhones, you want to make sure you know how to deal with iCloud, and then you want to know um, kind of the policy behind listing items that are iCloud locked. So iPhones can be great, sell great, but there is risk to that. So it is possible to buy an iPhone where the IMEI is clear. You pay a bunch of money, 500 bucks. 3 or 4 days later, you go to list the item and you recheck the IMEI, and they could have reported it lost, filed an insurance claim. They got a new phone and they also got your $500. So there is that risk involved. You have to make sure that you are truly proficient in testing the iPhone, because turning it on is not a test. You have to make sure everything works, speakerphone, we're not overheating, we're not experiencing problems. Every portion of the touchscreen works. So turning it on is not qualification, does not meet the qualification for fully functional. You got to test this stuff if you want to sell that stuff. Okay. When will we see you around Texas? So the plan is, and I've outlined this plan for the last 5 years in the group. The plan was last February, start to scale down the eBay store. I had 53,000 items then. We are coming up on almost 1 year. That was February 13th when I put that plan into action. We're coming up on 1 year, and I have about 20,000 items on the nose. So I've sold 53,000 items in the last calendar year, plus everything that I've listed every single day. So I've sold still, even in scale down mode, tens of thousands of items. So my store went from 53,000 to 20,000, and I was still listing, instead of 250, I started listing 200 a day for a couple months, started listing 150 a day for a couple months, started listing 100 a day for a couple months, 75, 50, all the way down to where I am now, almost 1 year later, and we are on target and as planned. We've sold 33,000 items and all the items that I've listed. So probably close to 45 or 50,000 items this year. 20,000 items I have now, and I am no longer listing clothing. I am listing hats only. And I'm going to keep all the clothing until May 1st. And then May 1st, whatever clothing I have left, I'm going to take down. And my lease for the warehouse, I signed a commercial lease. It was 3 years. My lease for the warehouse expires in August. So I'll have May, June, July to sell any sort of remaining inventory I have. I also need to sell 1 mile of racks. I have, tons of equipment. I have 85,000 hangers. So that'll give me 3 months to sell everything. And secretly, I want to have like 1 month with 10,000 square foot warehouse empty, so I can do like a mega fantasy factory and build like a 400-foot full court basketball court, or like do donuts with my lawnmowers from the landscape company, or like build a humongous ball pit. I want to have like 1 month where I can have a fantasy factory and do a bunch of fun stuff. So that is the plan. And then I'll continue to list hats. Just do 20 hats a day because I still love eBay. I was just on the treadmill for 15 years, and it's just like the Forrest Gump scene. When I was on the come up, eBay served its purpose. It got me to where I am today. I love eBay, forever thankful for eBay. But it was like the Forrest Gump scene where, it's just time to go home. And the treadmill was so long. It was 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on Saturday and Sunday. Like during the Super Bowl, literally during the Super Bowl, I would be shipping because no employee wants to come in during the Super Bowl. So during the Super Bowl, I ship because no one's going to work Sunday night Super Bowl to pack my old crap. It's just not doing it. So Sunday night, every single Super Bowl, I ship during the Super Bowl. So like it just became a point where like my life is different. I'm very fortunate, you know, very lucky. And I didn't have to do the treadmill anymore. I have different kinds of options, different kinds of investments, but I still love eBay. So the plan has always been for 5 years just to list 20 hats a day. I can fit 85,000 hats in my garage. So if I ever choose to like have, another mega store, I can have that. And with eBay, we were grossing six, seven, $8,000 a day. For me to turn that off and take like a 2 week vacation, I'm still broke mentally. My first year of working, I made $6,000 for the whole year. I'm still broke mentally. So like to voluntarily take a pay cut of $7,000 a day for 2 weeks when I know I could be doing it, that was very tough for me to do. So like that's why it was hard for me to take time off. So what I need to do for my personality is I just need to eliminate it myself because I'm black and white. If I'm doing eBay, I'm doing eBay. Never miss a day in 15 years, never. But if I'm doing it as a hobby, no problem. A little hat store, I'll turn that thing off for 4 months and go to Bali. I don't care. But if I'm doing it, I'm doing it. And nothing in this world is going to stop me from doing it, not even the Super Bowl. I got to go over there. I got to get the stuff packed. So, right now, as you see in the videos, we're kind of traveling out maybe 3, 4, 5 hours away from home. Once eBay and the warehouse closes, I want to, and my wife, she wants to as well. We want to get an RV and we want to go all around the country, visit all 50 states. And then we'll make videos going to the thrifts. We'll make videos meeting up with people. I know a lot of people, they like the reseller rescue video that we did with Terry. Maybe do a lot of reseller rescues all the way around the country, see the country, have fun, maybe do that for 6 months or a year. And then after that, we want to take a cruise around the world. And they have one that's 9 months that has like hundreds of stops. And we want to do that because I'm not the best flyer. I got to practice flying. And then I guess after we do the cruise around the world, we want to, I guess, places that we liked, because the cruise ship only stays there for a short amount of time. Places that we liked, I'll get on the plane, but we got to stay there for like a month. Like I'm not getting on a plane to be there for a couple of days. Like we'll go over to Europe, be there for a month. They got the train system. We'll go all over Europe and I'll come back in a month. I can sacrifice an 8 hour flight. And I've already mapped it out. It's 8 hours from Miami to Spain. I can sacrifice an 8 hour flight if we'll be there for a month. So, a lot of people, they say, oh, this guy is just about grind, 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 work, work, work. No problem. I'm going to win at vacation life too. Just subscribe, stay tuned. Y'all going to see. I think last year, 30 weekends last year, I went out and about. We just don't post about it on social media. So, um, eBay is a beautiful thing. It can allow you freedom. I think it's the best vehicle in existence to multiply your money. Put in 5, get 20 back. Put in 7, get 30 back. It is the best vehicle to do that. So use it, utilize it, take it for what it is, and do your best at it, because this opportunity may not be here forever in the capacity that we are able to do it. So, I truly believe without eBay, I would be in a totally different place. So, with it, we're in a wonderful place that allows us freedom. And when we go all around the country, I hope to meet all of you cool people and help people and go thrifting with people, go to flea markets with people. What I really want to do is go to these places where in the comments people say, oh, you can't find nothing here. I'm going there, I'm finding stuff. Because as you see in the videos, I've never been to those stores, never been to those flea markets, and we finding stuff. Um, very good. Thank you. So Texas, maybe in a year, year and a half, worst case, 2 years. George says, what advice would you have when you have a buyer that asks a lot of questions and makes offers, then doesn't have enough money, then asks more questions? Red flag, do you still sell to that person? Well, if they don't have enough money, then that answers that. So they can either cancel if they wish, or you can let the item time out. For most people, it's 4 days, and then after 4 days, the unpaid item case will close, and then you relist the item after that. So for me, I allow 7 days for payment. If they don't pay in 7 days, the unpaid item case will close. You'll get an email that says your item has successfully been canceled, and then you just relist the item. So if it's sold once, it'll sell twice. It's all good. Thomas said, what's a good way to structure my store regarding store categories? So I use the default eBay store categories. Um, and I think that that is best for most people. I think there is certain circumstances where you can create a custom category. So let's say you had, let's say you're an everything seller and you have, for whatever reason, you bought 500 Kermit the Frog collectibles. Those will be by default in the toy category. But if you wanted to make a custom category to draw attention to your 500 Kermit the Frog collectibles that you got at a big purchase or something, that would be a good instance where I can see to create a custom category and put all of your Kermit the Frog stuff in there, because you're drawing attention to it because you do have enough to create a custom category. But if it's not an instance like that, where like you actually need to draw attention to something that is inside of another category, I don't know if doing anything outside of what eBay already does automatically will be any beneficial. So I guess if you have enough stuff where you have like a subcategory in a category that you would like to display to the customer, that would be the only instance where I could see it actually being beneficial. Outside of that, just use the default store categories. Zoran says, how do you start with international shipping? Simply click on the international shipping box when creating a policy. So there's a few ways to do it. The easiest way, and for someone doing it the first time, even like me, someone doing it for the 10,000th time, I use the global shipping program, which has now been rebranded into eBay International Shipping. I use that, and I would suggest for anyone who's nervous, any novice, anyone who is risk adverse, to use the eBay International Shipping program. What the eBay International Shipping program is, it's no different to us as shipping an item to your neighbor. So you ship an item to a hub that eBay operates, eBay controls. The item arrives at the eBay hub. They repackage, they say they repackage if necessary. They fill out the customs paperwork. And once the item gets to the hub, all the liability is off of you. If the item gets lost between the hub and the final destination, all good. You got paid out. There's zero risk for you. If the item gets caught up in customs and it stays there for too long and the buyer is able to get a refund, they get the refund from eBay. They don't get the refund from you. So all you have to do for an international sale on eBay, if you are enrolled in the eBay International Shipping Program, is get it from your house to the hub. Once it reaches the hub, you go like this and you keep living a beautiful life. There also is some return and refund protection on that. When they first rolled out the program, it said that they would cover all the returns and refunds. So if a customer wanted to refund an item, they would cover it. So there was no refund risk. However, in the newest documentation that we have seen, there's like an asterisk next to it and it says some restrictions apply. What I read into that is probably if you sold like the Magna Carta for like a highly expensive amount, they might make you take that thing back. But if it's not worthwhile, eBay covers it. So eBay pays the refund out of their pocket. You keep your money. The buyer is made whole. And eBay is probably auctioning off pallets of this stuff that gets refunded, or they just cut their losses on it too, because they have figured out that, they make more money by doing this program than they do by giving any sort of refund. So I would suggest for most people, I still do it. I still do global shipping program, eBay International Shipping. Enroll in that, send it to the hub, wash your hands, and keep living a beautiful eBay life. The alternative is you can ship directly. If you ship directly, all the liability is on you. If the item breaks, damaged, never seen again, never found, gets held up in customs for 4 months, that's on you, and then you would have to give the refund. So you have to weigh everything. If you ship directly, that is cheaper to the customer as long as you're charging an appropriate rate. If you ship through the global shipping program or eBay International Shipping, it's more expensive because the buyer has to pay you to ship it to eBay, and then eBay whacks them pretty hard on that international postage. So for me, if the customer wants it bad enough, they'll pay the price. I'm going to send it to eBay, let them handle it. And what you'll notice is that the stronger the dollar is, the less international purchases we'll get. The weaker the dollar is, the more international purchases we will get. And for a little while, the dollar has been very strong. So international purchases, the currency exchange doesn't favor international purchase right now. Wally says, any suggestion how to increase views on my items? Very loaded question, but first of all, get items that are worthy of views. Second of all, create a quality listing. Make sure the title structure is correct. Make sure the keywords actually move the needle, and we're not doing generic keywords. If you do generic keywords, you will get generic results. We need to educate ourselves, learn keywords that act as separators between us and everyone else out on eBay. So we did a couple exercises this week where we searched a particular item, 340,000 listed, search sold 120,000, roughly 1/3. This will take you 9 to 12 months to sell. With the proper keywords, AKA separators, we eliminated everybody except for 58 people. 58 people used those proper keywords, and now it became an item that had 340,000 listed with 120,000 sold to an item that had 58 listed with 72 sold. Now 120% sell through because we created the separators, because we created a proper title that separates us from all the other bozos on eBay. And I showed you guys last week when we did the live. And if you didn't watch last week, go back and watch it. We went on to Terapeak. I showed you that there's a bunch of other graphs on there. They're a little bit hidden. I showed you 10% of the sellers are getting 50% of the sales in most categories. 25% of the sellers are getting 70% of the sales in most brands, most categories. Why? Because they are creating separators. They are not creating generic listings. That bottom 25 that's fighting over the remaining 30% of sales, there's no separation. There's no keywords. There's no nothing. It's generic. So if you want generic listings, you will have generic results. Inside of the group, I have a title structure call. We have the file section that might have a mile of resources. We have all the calls on all the niches. This is what we talk about all day, every single day, is how do we educate ourselves? What resources can I look at? Can I look at the deep dive document, which has hundreds of brands, what tags to look for, what tags not to look for, what brands have great sell-through, what brands sell for great prices, what items in this particular brand where is maybe well known, should we leave? What items in this particular brand actually have a good sell-through, and those are the ones that we should pick up. So the deep dive document is a wonderful resource. It is the best bolo list anywhere on the internet as far as I'm concerned. But it does take work. You have to submit a deep dive. You get into the deep dive document. You have access to hundreds and hundreds of brands in there, broken down by sell-through, what's desirable, price points, tags, nuance. Beautiful resource built by the community. So titles, keywords, good photos, accurate, all of that stuff matters. But the number one thing to get more views on your listing is to have an item worthy of listings. The number two thing is title structure. The number three thing is creating those separators, AKA those keywords. All right. Kali says, can you click listing error to cancel on eBay? After a buyer has purchased it, that is not an option. So no, if a buyer has purchased it, you have an obligation to fulfill that transaction. If you just want to bring the item down, you can click whatever you want. You can click other, it doesn't matter. Gotcha says, is it rude to not give a refund to someone bought two items, immediately paid the shipping on both, but they sent an offer on both items to cut shipping off? I think the question is asking, is it rude not to refund any overage in shipping? Technically speaking, an eBay stance is the buyer voluntarily paid that price. It was displayed, they voluntarily paid. So if they did leave a negative feedback based on that, that is the policy. They voluntarily paid. You can find a rep that would protect you and remove the feedback. Is it rude or is it maybe bad karma not to do it? That's up to you. That's up to you. That is a case by case basis, and that is totally up to you. For me, if the price that they paid in shipping overage is egregious, I send the refund. If it's $1 or two, I keep it pushing. But if it's totally egregious, like if they paid, separately for 10 items and they paid me $60 to ship, and I know I can send those 10 in a medium flat rate, I'm gonna refund the difference. If it's $1 or $2, I keep it pushing. Artie said, when you list and sell 250 pieces of clothing per day, what is your return rate? My return rate was 1.45% across all reasons, including item not as described, and doesn't fit. My item not as described return rate was 0.27, which is 1 out of 1,000. So 1 out of 1,000 true item not as described at 250 listings a day. So 1.45% was our return rate. And I think that fighting the battle of a high return rate for clothing specifically, I think measurements are a must. So in all of my photos, I have the reseller ruler, and the reseller ruler has accurate measurements. And using that device greatly, greatly improved my return rate. JT said, in your opinion, a $2 video game into a 5 or 6 sale is a decent business model. I think my ASP is more of 7 to 8, but do you have a suggested range for video games in particular? So that could be a fantastic business model. $2 into $6 sale, that could be a fantastic business model. At the end of that, after all fees, you double your money 2 into 4. It can be a fantastic business model if you are selling hundreds or thousands of items a day. Fantastic business model. Everyone in the chat would take that business that makes $2 profit on 1,000 sales a day. We would all take that business. That's $2,000 profit. Everyone would take that. However, we would not take a $2 profit on 4 sales a day with $8 profit. So the smaller the profit margin, what do we have to do? We have to increase the volume, increase the velocity. The larger the profit margin is, if you sell one yacht this year and you make $100,000, you just have to sell one yacht. So the larger the profit margin, the slower the velocity can be if that's your choice. But the smaller the profit margin is, we have to be cranking. We got to be cranking because we can't make $2 profit on 3 items today and walk away with $6 for all of our work. If we're going to make $2, we got to be cranking the velocity. Okay, very good. Oh, shout out KT Treasure. She's in the chat. She has a great channel. They do a lot of storage unit stuff. I like watching those guys. Very good. Kevin says, are we penalized if we remove an item before it sells on eBay? People can speculate about that, and people can say, hey, I removed 10 items from my store and my sales disappeared. There is no actual answer. It's just speculation. So if you remove one item, no harm, no foul. If you have 100 items and you move 90 of them, yeah, your sales are going to go to nothing because your footprint on eBay, your exposure on eBay went to 10% of what it was. So if you take out one item, no harm, no foul. Okay, the chat jumped again. There's a lot of questions. This is great. Beautiful. Excellent job, guys. I love it. Oh my goodness. All right. Very good. And I apologize if I miss anyone. I mean, the chat is crazy and I'm just one man. If eBay ends tomorrow, what are some overarching principles that are beneficial to vintage clothing sellers, like selling on your own website, social media? What about the Drew Heifetz model? And again, shout out Drew. I did a podcast with Drew about a month and a half ago. Great podcast, great dude. Him and his brother Jesse, great dude. He runs the F as in Frank YouTube channel. Wealth of knowledge. So I mean, if YouTube or if eBay ended, um, then you can move to another platform, Depop Grill. If those were eliminated, the way things are going, and we talked about this last night. So like my son is 20, he'll be 21 soon. He's never watched cable TV. He's only watched YouTube. So like for him, his Tom Cruise is a YouTube streamer. So like there's no movie stars for him. It's only YouTube stars. So if you can develop a following on social media, whether it be YouTube, whether it be Instagram, that is a way to sell your items. You could always go the brick and mortar route. So I do have a brick and mortar store. It's called the Spot underscore Coral Springs. If you want to see some cool vintage stuff, maybe study it, some stuff to look out for. We do post some cool stuff over there. I think the brick and mortar model for vintage, I think works fine. The hardest part for it for most people is they open up their store and they have 5 years of collection. Store is great for the first 2 weeks, but then they have trouble restocking it. So you have to make sure that you can keep the items stocked when the items do sell. And something that I learned very, very early in my brick and mortar days, and I've had my store for almost 6 years now. Very, very early, I learned if people walk in the door, I make a lot of money. If nobody walks in the door, I make no money. So I had to develop and curate my own audience because nobody knows I'm in a shopping center. So what we did is we took out Instagram ads, and what you can do on Instagram, you can do it on Facebook too. But my customer for a vintage store is not on Facebook. His dad is on Facebook. My store for a vintage customer 6 years ago, before TikTok really started popping, was on Instagram. And you can select certain keywords, select certain hashtags, select certain kind of like, you can develop a profile of who your customer is, and then you can select a radius. So for me with a brick and mortar store, the radius of the entire United States is not a good target. For me with a brick and mortar store, the radius is 10 miles. So we did Instagram advertising in a 10-mile radius for people who liked these types of items. And that really, really helped to get people in the door and then have the store be the success that it is today. That and good product, good prices, word of mouth. Also, when someone does make a purchase, say, hey, we'll give you 10% off. We'll give you 20% off if you shout us out in your Instagram story and give us a tag. That works great. So it's all about just getting the word out. No matter what the widget is, it's just a matter of getting the word out. For us, we use eBay as a vehicle to get the word out. And eBay gets the word out by spending millions of dollars a day in advertising, by having the platform that they do have, having the infrastructure, having 25 years plus of repeat customers, having the household name. Everyone knows eBay. That is our, megaphone of getting the word out. So if eBay is not there, it's just a matter of getting the word out, whether it's on Instagram, developing a social following, having a brick and mortar presence. It's just about getting the word out. So no matter the platform, you just have to get the word out of the items that you do have. And on eBay, getting the word out is posting it on eBay in a proper title, proper cadence, proper keywords, in a proper manner. Angel said 350 listed, selling 5 a day, fully living. That's great. Good work. That's great sell through. Find anything cool lately? For me, I found a couple nice Carhartt jackets. But all I'm doing, I'm just going to a flea market on the weekend. So like you guys have seen the coolest stuff. I found a game used FSU jersey for $2, where in the past I've sold those for $250. I don't know, but to me, I've seen most stuff, so like not a lot of stuff gets me excited. I have like two holy grail items that I've never found. And what's your guys' holy grail item that you've never found? What is it? It doesn't have to be clothing, whatever it is. What is your holy grail item? For me, I have two holy grail items. One is the vintage Ralph Lauren 1992 stadium jacket with the 1992 plate on the front. I've never had that item before. And the other one is a vintage Ralph Lauren red satin polo ball jacket. I've never had that one before either. So those ones are kind of like my chase items. So for you guys, what are the grail items that you've never found that you hope to find one day? Um, Joseph Florentino with 20 bucks super chat. I appreciate it. He says, thank you for all the knowledge. I do appreciate it. Not necessary. I don't need anything from anybody here. I just need attention. I just need a commitment to be actionable about the things that we're talking about. That's it. All right, very good. I do appreciate it though. Thank you, very kind. Uh, am I a good swimmer? Yeah, I swim like a fish. I'm from Florida. All right, here we go, catching up. Um, Nina Jin says, as a solar person on eBay, what would you think is the upper limit on gross sales purely as a one-person show? Um, for me, the most I was able to do, I did $1 million solo. However, this is what it took. It was 50 to 55 thrift stores per week, and it was going to the flea market 3 days a week. On Thursday, I would wake up at 4:30, go to the flea market, hit a thrift route. And then on Saturday and Sunday, I would wake up at 4:30, go to the flea market. On Saturday, I would hit my local one and hit the other one north. On Sunday, I would hit my local one and hit the other one south. It was all consuming. It was 20 hours a day. It was a ton of shipping, ton of listing, tons of photographs. I was listing 120 items every single day. Very little sleep, humongous sacrifice. Um, but I really enjoy eBay. eBay has always been like the hobby that I've always done on the side. Like I would get done cutting down trees and I would come home and list 50 items. It was just a great thing for me to do because like when you're taking pictures, it's silent. When you're listing, you plug in your headphones and it's just you and you. A great way to unwind, great way for me to be productive. I always got to do something. I always have to be doing multiple things at the same time. So for me, it's a great way to do it. Can you still do $1 million gross by yourself? It depends on the category. In clothing, I don't know. It's hard, man. It's very, very, very hard. Um, can it still be done? Why not? But I think for most people, 300 to 500,000 gross is probably a good place where like now this is starting to actually really and truly consume my entire life. Fortunately for me, my wife allows stuff to consume my life because she knows it makes me happy. So without her kind of allowing me to be who I am, I would be like, I wouldn't be the same type of person. I would be depressed. I would be upset. I would be mad. She understands, she realizes from my feet hitting the ground until I decide I'm out of gas for the day, I'm gonna rock and roll and I'm gonna be heavily productive and we're gonna be positive and we're gonna be moving in a positive, productive manner. If I was screwing around, if I wasn't, having the results of the time that I was putting in, she has every right in the world to say something. Hey, you've been spending this much time, and what's going on? You're spending all this time, and we got 4 listings today. What's going on? But she sees productivity, she sees positive growth, full support. So the best two things that she's ever done for me is allow me to be who I am and do what makes me happy. And she's never told me that's enough. Never. Because if she would have told me that's enough, maybe the race is over. Like financially, like we very, very fortunate, but she's never told me that's enough. And my mom's never told me that's enough. And I think both of those things really help me to get to the place that I am now and get to the places that I'm going. So the 100% full support to this makes you happy and you want to do that all day, no problem. And she's never told me, hey, look at all this great stuff you're doing. You've built a fantastic business. You don't have to list today. It's okay. You've done enough. She's never told me that. And that's very, very, very helpful and important to me. And that's the best two things that she's ever done. Okay, catching up. Very good. All right, it's 9 o'clock. We'll knock out a couple more and then we'll stick a fork in this thing. But I got a little bit catching up in the chat, so we'll knock out some more. If a customer leaves an offer and you offer to a watcher and I have a coupon on the listing, will the coupon go through with the offer, or because it's on an offer, you can't use the coupon? Great question. I suggest everybody to go to this link. This is the link for buyer terms as far as coupons are concerned. And the fourth bullet on that page says, I'll even do a screen share. The fourth bullet on this page, coupons do not apply to auction style listings, purchases made through best offer, or seller initiated offers. So a coupon cannot be used on top of a best offer. A coupon can be used on top of a markdown promotion. So let me distinguish between these two. If you go to your promotions and you run a 20% off promotion and your item was priced at $10, 20% promotion, now your item is priced at $8, and now you have a 10% coupon. If they choose buy it now on your $10 item that was marked down using a markdown promotion, and now it's $8, buy it now, they can use your 10% coupon if they select buy it now. And that would make the item $7.20. $10 minus 20% gives you 8, minus another 10% minus 80 cents gives you $7.20. They can use the coupon in that instance. Can they send you an offer and use the coupon? Absolutely not. Can they accept an offer that you've sent? Absolutely not. So this question does come up semi-frequently with customers. They are a little bit confused. Hey, I sent you an offer, but I want to use your 20% off coupon. Take that handy dandy link we put in the chat, save it as a bookmark, refer to them to bullet number 4, where it says, coupon is not valid for auction style listings or sales made through best offer or seller initiated offer or items in these categories: real estate, eBay Motors, yada, yada, yada. We got to know all the rules to the game if we want to win. Flippin' Genius says, how do you store your hats? I've seen clothing rack systems. I store them on shelves chronologically by date. Good question from Know What. Is it better to pick from eBay item-specific choices or write in the name of the brand specifics? For instance, sometimes the real color isn't listed in the item specifics, such as coral or aqua. If you type in your own item specific, that item specific is not on left-hand navigation. Your item, once they do pick left-hand navigation, becomes invisible. So do not type in your own item specifics, because if they choose to use item specifics, your item is gone. So coral would be pink. Aqua would be green, maybe blue, depending on the shade. So what you want to do is you want to use coral as a keyword in the title, so you still get credit for people that search for coral, but you're going to want to put pink in the item specifics. That way, when they use left-hand navigation, they click pink and they see different shades of pink. The only caveat to that is the brand. If the brand is not in the dropdown, then type in the brand. Every other item specific, only choose an item specific that matches. Do not type in your own. So sometimes eBay gets wonky and brands just disappear from the item specific dropdown. The last one that I saw a couple of weeks ago, and it may be fixed by now, is they didn't have Vans in the item specifics for brand. So in that instance, we would type in Vans. And then only select items that are actually in the dropdown, because any other selection is not in left-hand navigation. So if you typed in mother of pearl, which is like a shade of white, there is no left-hand navigation for mother of pearl. So if someone selects white, you have been eliminated from the game show. You're done. Brenda says, I found some hats the other day. I was wondering if I could ship in a poly bag. I think the best practice is to ship hats in a box. If it's a high dome hat like this Tekken Sports hat, this beautiful Tekken Sports hat, if it's a high dome hat like this, it would ship in either an 8x8x8 or a 7x7x7. If it is more of the low profile or the dad hats, kind of the softer ones, We ship those in the 8x6x4. I believe it's 8x6x4. It's the one on eBay that you can get with your subscriber discount, which brings us to subscriber discounts. If you do have an eBay store, make sure that you have your subscriber discount coupon because those expire every single quarter. They do not roll over. If you have a small store, maybe they give you a $25 coupon to use for your supplies, tape, boxes, whatever you want. If you have the larger store, they give you more money. So you need to make sure that we are using our subscriber discount. So how do we find that? We go to the Google machine, we type in eBay subscriber discounts. It's going to take you right to the page. Coupon code's going to be right there. It's going to be a very long alphanumeric. We click on the eBay store supplies page, enter that coupon code, and you will get free, I guess free, because we do pay for it with our eBay store subscription. We will get free shipping supplies. So I use my coupon code and I ordered the 8x6x3. It might be 8x6x4. Whatever that box is, I order that one for my dad hatch and my low profile one. So essentially, the only boxes that I would have to purchase are the 7x7x7 or the 8x8x8. Stanley says they found the channel. It's awesome. Give out a lot of great information. I appreciate that. I try to give out helpful advice, just trying to help people. That's all. Do you think you will ever create a keyword guide? No, never. A lot of those keywords, they change and we have to know the changes in them. So anyone who sells women's clothing, there's a new core every single week. And last week's core, that keyword don't matter no more. So like keywords and education and continuing your education, we have to do that. No guide is going to get us there. No guide is going to get us there. Like Barbiecore, that's gone. Barbiecore is done. So like, why do we need to read a book that tells us Barbiecore that was made 4 months ago? It's finished. That would be old information. We have to continue to acquire, continue to seek new knowledge. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Daniel says they have been doing Poshmark for about 2 years. I've been doing eBay for about a month. And you really want to do the monthly program. Oh, if you are interested, just click on the link that Michelle is putting in. Subscribe to Michelle. Maybe we can get her to put out some YouTube content. She's a little bashful, but she is a tremendous wealth of information. She knows a lot of stuff. She hosts the women's clothing call into the group. But if you click that link and you click about, it's got everything on there. It's got the full schedule. We got 30 live calls. Everything is on replay. We got it all. Anything you guys could want, we can want. I answer every single question in the group. We're there. Okay. All right. I think we've almost beat the chat. Oh, a lot of grails coming in. Very good. Cool. Cool ones. Tom, can you touch on importance of providing great customer service to buyers so eBay sees we are not casual sellers? Sales equal money, and we want repeat customers and increased traffic. The importance of repeat buyers is huge, and I think that the search is curated towards people that you have bought from. They get a little bit more special treatment, and I think going forward, they are going to start curating custom feeds based on who your saved sellers are. And I think that that is going to be very, very important. So how can we get a customer to save our store? How can we get repeat buyers? First and foremost, continue to list, continue to stock like items. It's very, very difficult to get a multi-quantity purchase or a repeat purchase on my store of microwave, sombrero, shoe, pen, pendant, jewelry, ring, hat. It's very, very difficult to get a multi-quantity purchase or a repeat purchase. Very, very difficult. Now, if you have a clothing store and you continue to stock like clothing, like brands, much more easier. So how do we get them to follow the store? How do we incentivize them or entice them to come back to our store and purchase more items? So we can use our buyer groups. We can send coupons through there. We can use our newsletters. We can send coupons through there. Whenever someone messages us, hey, thank you so much. I love this shirt. Prompt them with something actionable. Hey, I'm so glad you like the shirt. I list 250 items just like this every single day. Here's the link to my store. Click the heart and follow my store for more great deals. And while you're at it, here's a coupon code just for you. Just for you. Because I have a private coupon enabled on the back end of my eBay store where I can give them a private coupon just for you. Thank you for reaching out. Hey, I appreciate you responding. Hey, I appreciate you sending me a message. Here's the link to my store. I list 250 items just like this every single day. Same brand, same styles, same types. Click the heart. Here is a coupon just for you for my store. That is a way how to get your follower count up so you can do what? Market them with your newsletters. Market to them with your buyer groups. Once you've done that, how else can we prompt the buyer to follow our store? You can put a nice card in there that thanking them for their purchase. Say the same thing. If you like this item that you're holding in your hands, I list 250 items just like that every single day. Follow my store. Here's the link. Actionable. Click the hearts. Walk them through how to do it. And then here is a coupon code just for you next time you want to come back and purchase items like this. So we need to get them in the funnel any kind of way that you can. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. And there's a lot of ways that we talk about to do it. But those are a couple very easy ways that people can do. We need to prompt them to follow the store, and we need to list, source like items that will keep a buyer who bought a Tommy Bahama shirt looking back in our store for another Tommy Bahama shirt. If we sold a Tommy Bahama shirt and that was the only one that we have, and we just got radios and toasters, it makes no sense for that customer to follow our store. He is not a radio and toaster buyer. That person is buying Tommy Bahama. Can they come in and buy a toaster too? Sure, very low percentage. So at one point, a select data set, a random data set that we pulled up on one of the calls, I had 60% repeat purchases. So does that mean I've sold a lot of items and did a great job and 60% of the buyers came back? Or does that mean that I've sold to literally almost everybody on eBay at this point and 60% of the people have already purchased from me? In any event, repeat buyers are king, especially if you can develop relationships and try to get some bulk buyers. And when I was really, really, heavy into eBay with clothing, listing great stuff, 50,000 items, I had people that used to come into my store. They used to know what time I listed, and they would be there as soon as I listed to buy items that they want. They lived in Australia, so they can sell an item for $30 that I'm willing to sell for 15, that I'm willing to sell for 20. Maybe they can sell it for 50 because over there it's more desirable, much more harder to get, harder to source, more rare. And they like the sports stuff. So like if I listed a vintage Miami Dolphins shirt for 15 bucks, they would buy it, they would sell it for 50. And I used to have guys that used to camp out on my store every single day, and they would buy hundreds of items a month. At the end of the month, I would send them an invoice, send it to their freight forwarding company, usually in Oregon because there's no sales tax. And then from Oregon, they would receive it in Australia. But that was only because I listed a good item. They bought it from me. They had a great experience. They followed the store. And then we built up that relationship of, I list the same type of items that you're looking for. You can come and camp out because I'm never going to miss. I'm going to list every single day. You can literally source from me and then have a beautiful business back home in Australia. So we want to list the same items, prompt the buyers with something actionable to get them into the funnel where we can market to them using the tools that eBay has available. That's what we want to do. Adalia says, new seller here, didn't open a store yet. Should I automatically invest in an eBay store or wait a while? I believe that the cheapest eBay store is $4.99. For $4.99, they give you access to the tools that we're talking about here, which again are strategies. They are not necessary to sell items if your items don't necessitate having those tools. If you have great items, like we talked about at the beginning of this call, you don't need all of these bells and whistles. If you want to get addition or extra credit sales, or have some dog items in your store, then yeah, you have to use a lot of these strategies and all of the strategies that we're talking about. but it will give you access to a lot of stuff, which is beneficial and I do think is worth $5. If you are wondering what size eBay store you should have, go into the Google machine. What size eBay store should I pick? It will bring you to the page, and that page has a walkthrough. And sometimes they update it from every now and then. Sometimes it'll even have like a tool that you can use and say, this is how many items I have, this is how much I list, and it will tell you and suggest what store you need. So if you type in what size eBay store is good for me, it'll bring you right to the page. It'll give you a full walkthrough and explain everything for you. Mm. Jordan says, would you recommend using a PO box? This is actually a funny story. So I used to have a duplex where I ran the eBay business out of. And when we bought this house, my bright idea was buy a big house and then store everything in the big house, and then I won't have to like pay for a storage unit. That lasted about a year, and then I had to get a 1,200 square foot warehouse. And then from 1,200 square foot, we went to 3,000, then 6,000, then 10,000. And that's where I am now. So before I got a PO box, I had the duplex as running the eBay operation out of. And we closed on this house on December 27th. So December 28th, we were packing everything up to bring it over here. And a guy walked up to us and he goes, hey, do you sell on eBay? And I kind of like tightened up a little bit because it wasn't in the best neighborhood, first and foremost. And I was like, I kind of tightened up a little bit. And I'm thinking he sees me moving all my stuff onto the truck and he's trying to see if I'm all right. And meaning all right, like he's trying to size me up. And I didn't really say anything. And then he said, hey, I bought this shirt from you on eBay. It doesn't fit, but I see you have the same shirt in a different size. And it was a Roar shirt with like the big embroidery on the back. And the only reason why he drove over to my house is because he needed that shirt for a New Year's party. And like I said, it was either the 28th or the 29th, and he didn't have enough time to ship it back and me ship out another one. So this dude literally came to what could have been my house with a return, and he wanted to do a size exchange because he needed that shirt for a New Year's party. And I said, dude, everything is on the truck. If I can go to my new house, unload, and I can find it, I'll meet you at a gas station. And that's what I ended up doing. I didn't meet him at my new house, believe me. So after that, I ended up getting a PO box, and then after that, then I just used the warehouse as my eBay address. You never know with people these days, man. So is it worth it to get a PO box? It might be worth the peace of mind monetarily, maybe one in a million of that happening where a guy shows up trying to do a size exchange. But for peace of mind and I guess for safety, probably not a bad idea. But I use the warehouse now. Um, all right, very good. I appreciate all the kind words. I appreciate spending time with all you guys. This was great. This was really, really good questions. Um, really good. Jeremy says, what is the size of your listing station? If you go to my very first video, I show everything. So my listing station is just an IKEA table. This IKEA table is about 2 feet by 4 feet. That's the listing station where we do the listings. And then the photography station is 6 feet by 8 feet. And then it's knee high. So however tall your knee is, if it's like above the knee, then it's like hard to get there. So it's knee high, but it's 6 foot by 8 feet. And if you go to the very first video on my channel, I do a complete walkthrough of everything. All right. Very good. Thank you, everybody. We've been here for an hour and 20 minutes. Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate everybody for jumping in. We came with some heat today. We came with some great questions. Sometimes, a couple basic questions here and there, that's fine. But you guys came with the heat today. I appreciate it. And like I said, I don't need nothing from anybody. I just need attention, and we have to make a commitment to do something actionable based on the advice that we talked about, based on the questions that we talked about. We have to make a commitment to do something actionable. We can't treat this like the TV. If you want to be entertained, go watch something else. Don't watch me if you want to be entertained. Make a commitment to do something actionable. If we talked about something, let's implement it. We spent a lot of time talking about keywords. How many people in the chat are going to make a commitment to study their keywords to create the separators from all those other bozos who are doing generic listings? Who is going to make the commitment to do that? That is what we need these chats to be about. And if hundreds of people or thousands of people watch them, if one person does it, and one person changes their business and one person makes more money, for me, that is mission accomplished. And that is why I take the time to do this. So please make a commitment to do something actionable based on these questions and based on these discussions. That's all I'm asking from you. I don't need nothing from anybody. That is all I'm asking. And if you have a question, post it in the comments. I respond to every single comment. If you have a question, feel free to reach out on Instagram. I respond to every single message. I'm there. If you guys need something, I'm there. Please, with the questions, hey, give me something where I can be actionable. If a question says, I have 1,000 items and not selling anything, what do I do? Hard question. Hard question. My items aren't selling. What do I do? Hard question. Give me something actionable and I will give you much more actionable stuff back. All right. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate all of you guys. Every Wednesday, I want to come down. I want to sit with you guys. I want to rock and roll with you. But please, someone make a difference, make a change, improve your business. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate it. As always, if you know, say it with me. Be great. Thank you.